Hi, this is an introduction to a video that I made earlier titled Sinead O'Connor Liberating Superman, because that's what Sinead O'Connor is doing here. She is helping to liberate Superman, who I explain who Superman is in this video. And I've made this introduction just to clarify a couple of points, really. One is to explain to anybody who listens to what I've got to say, who feels in any way threatened by what's said here, is to explain to those people that what I'm saying is not a threat, okay? And if it comes across, if people are feeling afraid and threatened by what I'm saying, then that is because they're heavily indoctrinated by the so-called realities of this world, which is built on myth and fantasy, and has persuaded people to feel secure by chaining themselves to lies and to serving those lies, and who get actually rewarded by this world for their lies, but which ultimately are a crime against themselves and their future. And so, you know, what I'm saying is to liberate people. So it doesn't matter. Suppose you listen to what I say and you feel offended because I've described you, what I've described fits yourself as an oligarch. Then you have a chance to change. That's why I'm explaining it. You don't have to be an oligarch. You have a right to make a choice on knowledge and facts. People who have experience. People you can trust. Okay? So who can we trust? Who's speaking from their own learned and lived life experience? And who's speaking from what they've been told by somebody else and somebody else and somebody else, half of whom are dead by now. You know, people like Sinead O'Connor, people like myself, people like Ken O'Keefe, Chris Hedges, Cynthia McKinney, people who are speaking truth. They're educated. Their truth has been confirmed. What they know, their lived experience, their understanding has been confirmed by facts and evidence. And it is how much trust, you know. So it's like if you go to a surgeon, you put your faith in that surgeon, you trust that that surgeon knows what they're doing, and you submit yourself to surgery on the understanding that you will survive the surgery and it will be a successful operation, or that the surgeon has fully informed you of the levels of risks involved. But that is not the kind of world we're living in. The surgeon cannot be trusted. They haven't fully informed you. They're charlatans who have no right to be in power and control of anything, but they've convinced you that they are, and that they have rights to be where they are, that God has willed them into those places. You know, and these are the kind of things that this video addresses, and I am directly appealing to the professional and business and financiers and politicians, the people of power and influence in this world, as the most responsible, and you will be called to account, that all the powers you have now, you need to utilise them towards turning this situation around. And, you know, to start understanding that we have a wealth of humanity on earth today. Not too many people. We have a wealth of life. And it is up to us to utilise that towards creating a better life for and of and on our planet. We have the power, we have the technology. People want jobs. They want ethical jobs that make them feel good, that they're working towards a purpose for, that pay them a fair day's wage, that give them a decent, dignified, respectful standard of living, that provides them with education and healthcare and public services and social services and welfare. But most of all, jobs, because most people want to work, and they do work. And it is for those people that this video, Liberating Superman, has been made. Okay. And so it is really up to us to understand that, yes, people with power and influence, you have a duty, you have an ethical duty, and under universal law, a lawful duty, to be informed, to inform others, to take direct action toward protecting children and protecting the public, upholding our human compassion, serving a compassionate law, and arresting criminals who are a risk to themselves and others, removing the psycho-sado-fascists from every office and seat of power on this planet, of helping some people in power to change with new knowledge, because that is what I'm sharing here, is new knowledge. And yes, it's an hour and 15 minutes long, and it's an hour and 15 minutes of honesty, truth, facts, light, basically, that is showing us something bigger than this world, more real than this world. And you know, we're living in the world that we live in today. You know, people hardly even think about the solar system or the galaxy that we live in. They hardly spend a minute of time's thought on it until they see, you know, Sky at Night on the BBC, or some, you know, the latest astronomy show, which most of the time they're focusing on the latest technology that they've got to study the stars. But we've lost that sense of magic, the awe and wonder, that is the true magic of life. Instead, as Chris Hedges said, we're all persuaded to follow the magical thinking of these oligarchs, self-appointed rulers, who claim that they're all superior and they all know what they're doing and we're all stupid and ignorant. And again, you know, this is why we need to liberate Superman. I apologise for my poor vocal presentation today. I have been suffering alternately on and off with really bad hay fever, and so, you know, that aside, I hope that people are strengthened and enlightened, that people take courage, find faith, understand the reality and the beneficence of universal intelligence and the forgiveness and the choice, because we consciously make that choice, and when we do, we are forgiven for our past crimes. But as I explained clearly here, some people can't be forgiven because there's still a risk. You know, they can be forgiven, but it doesn't mean to say that they don't need to be incarcerated, because, you know, will a paedophile never touch a child again? So, you know, forgiveness shouldn't mean ignorance, which is one of the things I've explained here. At the same time, we need to understand that the only way any change is going to come in this world is by addressing the reality, the basic reality. At the moment, we're like a species that has received some very important messages which are borne out by facts, truth and evidence, experience, expertise, all supported. We've received the information and everybody's moaning about the phone that the message arrived on. Oh, well, it's not the right phone. It's one of them old-fashioned phones. Yeah, but it's still a phone. It's still working. Yeah, but, you know, it's an old-fashioned phone. We don't like that phone. And anyway, what it's telling us, it means that we're doing everything wrong, and, you know, we've got to change everything. And it's just going to upset everything. So, you know, let's leave it. Let's just ignore that message. But the message is explained to us that we have a choice now between total destruction or eternal life. Which one do we choose? That's the question, not a debate about the phone the message arrived on. Where has it come from? Is the message coming from a source you can trust, that's speaking honestly from their own lived experience, that has survived the oppressions of insanity? Or are you going to listen to people who believe in myth and mystery and whatever has been fed into their consciousness by way of their usually bought so-called higher education? And so, you know, it is an appeal, as I've said here. Maybe in our own faith we can save the souls of the oligarchs too, the oligarchical consciousness. Because nobody is guilty for being born into this world, or being born influenced by the patterns of this world, whatever this world has carved out for them, for their life story, as it were. But as we know the truth, the reality, we can stop following a wrong path, can't we? That's going to lead us straight over a cliff edge. We follow a trusted guide that leads us to a safe place. And we are our own trusted guides. Intuitively, we know the difference between right and wrong. Intuitively, we know in the beneficence of our universe and the natural magic of life, the real magic of life. So that's all I can say by way of introducing this. As I say, you know, thank you to everybody who takes the time to listen to it. Huge thanks to Sinead O'Connor, and thanks to everybody who is at this moment asking questions, sharing information, expressing their concerns, sharing their compassion, speaking out on behalf of truth and justice, and standing up for children's rights. You know, the news is bad from the world, yes, and it is serious, and I will do advise you to share another video I'm going to put under here, Methane and mass extinction, what what the Corbett report missed. Okay, it is very serious. Have a look at that. One thing that everybody can do towards bringing about change is to go vegetarian, or better still, vegan, which is actually true vegetarianism, because vegans don't consume or use any animal products, though some will have organic, free-range, non-fertilised eggs. Because it's, as I've said, in this world we have to live with balance and always live compassionately, and we're living in the kind of world that people who rescue hens or look after hens, you know, they need money to feed their hens, and then the hens have nice lives, and you know, the animals aren't being exploited. So, you know, I can understand that some vegans, including myself, have contributed to that, because at the end of the day, animals aren't being harmed by it. It is the fact that you know, the lack of compassion of the way that we're raising animals. But now we understand, as fully explained in the video link about methane that I'll share under this, fully explained, it is very serious. We do need to just stop that horrific industry, which actually, you know, the meat and dairy industry, for as many animals as it actually produces and feeds, to live in a life of absolute misery and to die in terror and torture, it is destroying our wildlife at an alarming rate. So, you know, we're losing forests and meadows and so many creatures and insects. It is just on a scale that, to the extent that I think a World Wildlife Organization has said that by 2045, 2/3 of species in the natural world will have become extinct. By 2045. And that's but meanwhile we'll have absolutely loads of pigs, cows, sheep living miserable lives, you know. So I've never been one to shove veganism down people's throats, even though I've been vegan for 25 years. I've never tried to make people feel guilty for eating meat or anything like that. I've never been that kind of a vegan. But now I am asking people, please give it some serious thought. Please live by facts and knowledge. That is soul food. Okay? That is our strength. That is our security. Is in the truth. Is in reality. And if our intellect is not with compassion, it's not a true intelligence. And, you know, again, that's just a fact of life. Because compassion will take everything into account and everyone into account. And an intelligence without it won't. It'll only take itself into account, its own selfish desires and needs, and its own thoughts that are created from those selfish desires and needs, rather than from what is life actually needs. Okay? An intelligence without compassion will invariably serve wants. And as I say, everything is fully explained here, and check the links below in this video, which I've shared a few here. And as I say, under this video, I'll leave you the links to this video under this video. I'll also leave you the link to the problem with methane, which, you know, CO2 is the gnat that they've got everybody focusing on and making a big fuss about. While meanwhile the camel is being swallowed absolutely unnoticed, and the camel is methane. And as I say, check it out. It is serious. And ask yourself why the BBC hasn't informed you of this, or any of these so-called climate change organisations, which a lot of them kept very quiet about. And Chris Hedges recently, I think it was, and Abby Martin were I think it was Chris Hedges actually, who was discussing how many of these climate change charities and things and organisations are actually being funded by the meat and dairy industry. Okay, so I'll have a look for that link to Chris Hedges' video and leave you that to have a look at as well. Or it might have been an article as well. I'll find it, I'll leave you the link to it under this video. Please watch it or read it. And you know, I do advise you, connect with Chris Hedges, you know, listen to his videos, listen to what he has to say. And you know, we each have to come to our own rescue here, in the sense of, that is how we come to our own rescue, is by standing by what's right, by supporting and upholding our compassion, by standing up for our children's rights, because they are our future, and they have a right to a future worth living.